Hey guys, Miss Warren here. Today I'm going to talk to y'all about what to do if you cannot make your clay animal whistle. In my last video, I made my armadillo whistle and I set it off to the side so I wouldn't damage it and so it would dry. Now I let my armadillo, just real quick, troubleshooting. If you got your thing to whistle, you set it off to the dry and some details fell off. So this is my armadillo. I left him out in the classroom and some students touched him and his ears and legs and tail fell off. Now, it's super fragile when it's drying, so I would mess with it as little as possible. Don't let your younger siblings mess with it when it's drying because the pieces will fall off. Now, the good news is if it's a clean break, like this foot here, will fit exactly, let's see, which part did it go to? There we go. See, it will fit exactly back onto the clay piece. I can fire these both together and then I can super glue when I'm done firing them. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. I have his little pieces and stuff all set aside and I'm going to super glue all the pieces back together after I fire him because the glue, even super glue, won't survive the high heats of the kiln. Now this one still does whistle. I still got a good noise out of that one. I made another one for an example today. This one is just the head. I meant to make a lion, but it kind of just looks like a squirrel. So it's smaller, so it makes a higher pitched noise. You can see that it's slanted towards that way. The other three walls are flat. There's no clay crumbs in the way, and these two pieces are really close together. Same kind of things going on for my very finished snail here. The snail has been glazed, which is a special paint for clay. You fire it once, then you paint it, and then you fire it again. We may or may not have time to do that this year. Now, what to do if, let's say you have a clay animal whistle and you've tried and tried and tried to make it whistle, but it's just not whistling. So that's what I'm going to do with this little piece here. I have a little dog. Let's say you've tried over and over again. I would patch up one of the holes so you only have one hole and you have access to all that hollow area. In fact, I'm going to use the paper clip to kind of scoop out some of the extra clay so it's nice clear space in there. Nice and empty. Okay, so if you cannot make it whistle, we're going to make maracas or shakers. Over here off to the side, I've taken clay, like a pinch of clay like this, and I've rolled it into little small beads like this. Now you want these beads to start to dry and be kind of firm before you put them inside of your clay animal because you don't want them to stick together. You want them to be loose, and if they're too damp, they're going to stick together. So I'm going to roll them. If you roll them on your paper towel or cloth, they're going to dry a little bit faster. They probably need to dry out probably about, after you make them about this big, probably like 10 or 15 minutes so they won't stick together. See, these still are a little bit wet, so they're sticking together. Okay, now once they get dry enough, you're going to poke the clay beads inside your piece. You want to put enough to where there's a couple in there that will knock into each other, but not so many that you fill it up because you want them to be able to shake around in there. I can kind of, I don't know if y'all can see that. Let me see if I can turn my light on. Oh. I'll just take a sec. Okay, so after I've gotten the beads in there, I'm going to patch up this hole with a little flat cookie of clay, kind of like we did with the first time when we made this. I'm going to score it. Scratch it up really well around the edges. Anytime you want to stick two pieces of clay together, you need to score, which is to deeply scratch both their surfaces that you plan to put the glue on or the slip. There we go. There's some light. So if you can kind of see the beads inside there, there's enough to kind of knock around, but there's not so many that it fills the whole thing up. I'm going to put like 2 more in there because I'm looking in there and there's a few more can fit in there without them. Okay, so now I'm going to go grab my slip now that I've scored my piece up. And I'm going to put a little bit of slip where I scored it It's really wet clay. That's all the slip is really wet clay, about the texture of yogurt or pancake batter, and it helps drier clay stick together. Okay, put that over to the side. Okay, now I'm going to smooth out the two pieces till they become one piece. Sometimes, especially I'm working kind of small with this dog head here, you need a popsicle stick to kind of help you blend the two pieces together. And you don't want to be able to see that seam or that crack. I'm going to smooth it out. Okay, now when this dries, you're going to be able to hear it. Right now you can't hear it because it's still wet and it's kind of sticking together. As it dries, the beads are going to get looser and you'll be able to hear it better. And then when you fire it, you'll be able to hear it even more. Now, the only problem is that this has an air bubble trapped in there. And if it heats up, it's going to expand and this thing will pop. What we're going to do is we're going to poke some vent holes. So small enough so that the beads won't come out, but large enough so that the air can come out. Probably about 6 or 7 holes like that, just with the paper clip. So there, I'm going to let it dry and then I'm going to fire it, and then you'll have a little clay animal shaker. I look forward to seeing y'all's work.